You are back with the App Show. Mike, Graham, and John here talking all about the coronavirus and the different types of apps and tech you can use to not only get work done, but also relax as well. I want to talk about entertainment. Obviously, we're going to have some time on our hands as we're going to be spending a lot more time at home. And it was interesting, some of the news right now. We mentioned on GetConnected, our sister show yesterday, that Disney was releasing Frozen 2 months earlier. They've done that with Star Wars as well. And one of the big movie companies, Universal, is basically releasing movies that they have in theater right now, or that were in theater, because the theaters are shut. You can get them on demand right away.
This is sort of an interesting play because typically in the past, they've avoided doing this in order to not alienate the theaters. It's been this bit of a, power push back and forth. You want to give people the things that they want, but you also want your movie shown in theaters. And if you push things direct to home release without going through them first, they're going to stop screening your movies. And so now with theaters being shut down, across North America, this is actually kind of the first opportunity that one of these companies has to look at this and go, is this actually a reasonable revenue stream where we could possibly worry about weathering that if it did come to it?
Well, we'll have to see. So let's talk about some of our favorite shows that we would recommend people watch while they have some time. For me, I'll start. Westworld Season 3 is just coming out now. And so if you haven't checked this out, this is a great series. Anthony Hopkins is in it. A number of other great actors based on the movie with Yul Brynner back in the 70s, but obviously updated and super cool. So they've actually got 2 seasons already done that you can binge.
Now, are they releasing this one episode at a time, or are they doing
Season
the whole
3? They are, yes.
Yeah,
but you've got 2 seasons to get caught up on if you haven't checked it out.
Fair enough.
It's also worth noting too that one of the co-creators of it is Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan's brother, and Lisa Joy is the other creator, and they have just sort of knocked it out of the park as far as what our sort of close future might look like, and also what our Android future might look like. So it's really worth checking out if you're even remotely interested in science fiction at all.
And you don't have to be, because the story is so good in there, but it is kind of freaky.
Yeah,
thinking about where technology could go if we let it.
Yeah,
and of course we will.
I've only seen to the end of the first season, which I found was a very dramatic conclusion. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
But I kind of season 2 came out and I watched the first 10 minutes and got distracted by something shiny and just haven't come back yet. So I think there's an opportunity there to get caught up.
John, what's a show or series you'd recommend?
I really love The Americans, if you can catch that somewhere. There's I forget how many seasons they have, but it was one of my favorite shows that was episodic in that it was only released every week. And I just love that show. It's completely done now, so it does come to a conclusion. But it's basically about a couple of Russian spies that are embedded in the U.S. during the Cold War. And it's seeing the world through their eyes in America in the 80s. And it's a fantastic series. I highly recommend checking out.
Yes.
Graham, what do you got?
I've got a couple for you. So there is on Apple TV, Servant.
So good.
M. Night
so
Shyamalan.
Good.
And so this was an interesting thing. Obviously, they released it episodically week after week, and now it's all available to watch all at once.
And you know what the bad thing about it is? There's not enough episodes. Like how many episodes were there? Like 10?
Either 8 or 10, yeah. And I mean, I found rarely am I interested in appointment television, but I'm finding now with the way that they're releasing shows, it gets released at a certain time, but I can come back anytime within the next day or so, whenever I want, and watch it. So that's a good one. It's very much it's interestingly shot. The acting is again fascinating. The whole plot is it's a challenging show where sometimes you're just like, what is going on here?
Isn't one of the actors the guy from Harry Potter, the redhead?
Yes, Rupert Grint is in it, and I think he does a great job.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah. So that one's a good one. The other one, I've actually got 2 more. Star Trek Picard.
Did you like it?
On Crave TV, I am liking it. Speaking of androids, I find as fan service, John's not liking it, but his opinion really doesn't matter. It has given us an opportunity to get back in touch with some characters I think that a lot of us had thought we'd said goodbye to a long time ago.
Yeah, a lot of the characters from Star Trek: The Next Generation that
Yes.
we watched in
Back
the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah. And
I was glued to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm quite enjoying it. I do things where it hasn't quite finished yet. We're approaching the climax. There's been some great stuff that's gone on there. The last one, actually, speaking of delightfully dystopian futures, is Altered Carbon. And so this is a show that's shot in Vancouver, and it's about a protagonist who consciousness has been digitized. They're in these little chips that are in the back of your neck. And if you die, they can grow you a new body and stick this chip in, and ta-da, you're back.
I would love that.
Right.
Because I want to live forever.
And so in the first season has one actor, I can't remember his name for the life of me. The second season has Anthony Mackie from Avengers. He plays Falcon. And this show, it's great for a couple of things. One, it's beautifully shot. Like it's absolutely, this is very much a Blade Runner aesthetic. It's really great. I find the dialogue to be phenomenal. Like it's just, it's at times it waxes poetic, and at times it's just like really gritty, almost film noir stuff. The action is great. And there's a character, because this is based on a series of books. There's a character that doesn't show up in the books, played by Chris Connor. He plays an AI version of Edgar Allan Poe. And I've got to say, one of the best performances I've seen on TV in a while. So you can play spot Vancouver in it. See if you can spot places around the Lower Mainland. But what a great little show to try out.
If you do have HBO, series that just finished, I think 10 episodes, The Outsider. It's probably one of the best series of TV that I've seen this year.
Okay.
So far. It's based on a Stephen King novel, and it is freaky and spooky. It's like a crime, murder mystery, kind of supernatural bent to it. The acting is phenomenal. I loved it. And so I would highly recommend that. John, you got another one for us?
Well, we talked about Star Wars being released a little early, Rise of Skywalker, and it's available on digital platforms to rent or to purchase. Make sure you check out the extras, though. The behind the scenes video content that they've provided is off the charts amazing. Arguably even better than the movie itself. There's a 2-hour featurette about the making of the movie, but also they intertwine all the callbacks to all the original trilogies as well. And you get to see a lot more detail about, going into the studio with John Williams to record all the new orchestrations, how he actually gets put into the movie itself, and all the neat things that they did. A little bit of a spoiler, kind of, but it is John Williams is in Rise of Skywalker in a little scene surrounded by props from all the movies he scored where he was Oscar nominated for. And it's a really cool little peek into that world. And they just did a fantastic job of showing how the movie was made, but also how all the different actors and people involved in the film feel about this being the last one of the 9 movie series as well. That's
weird. I thought there were only 6. The triple trilogy is actually on sale for $99 right now. So 6 movies for $100, not bad.
Or 9, depending.